So let's level set here, because I know a lot of people are sad when they hear this topic. You know, people want to run their business.
Right.
And they meet people like us and they think that we're unicorns and we're crazy because we handle the accounting, the tax, you know, the money part of it. Why do y'all think people struggle with this so much? Like, why is this such a hard thing for entrepreneurs to face, you know, accounting, know what's coming in, know what's going out, or taxes? What do you think the issue is, Tomika?
I don't know. I think it's just an awareness. You know, most people growing up, they don't really deal with finances. And so it's something that, somebody else does or take part of. They don't really, they're uncomfortable. And so that piece of their business, they say, okay, well, I'll just deal with it during tax time. I won't worry about it now. So I think it's really more so an awareness of what you need to do. And then it's just more intimidating. It sounds scary. Accounting just sounds like this big technical term. And, you know, I hated that course in college. So I think it just sounds intimidating for people.
Right. So, Brandi, so let's kind of talk through these statistics. It said, this is from the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. It says 20% of U.S. small businesses fail within the first year. Mm-hmm. By the end of the fifth year, roughly 50% have failed. And after 10 years, only a third of businesses have survived. Do you think a lot of that has to do with what we're talking about? The accounting, money part is not being handled the right way?
Most definitely. Most definitely. It's almost part of the reason why I even got into accounting. You know, people sometimes they know what they know how to do, and what they know how to do, they're passionate about it, but they sometimes forget to handle the taxes, and so, or handle their accounting, and then they don't survive, and so then they have to do some sort of other job and move away from their passion because they forgot to handle the accounting, the money, the finance part, or the tax side of their business. You know,
what I always think about is people can get lost in the passion too, because it's like, I wanted to open up a school, or I wanted to open up a salon. I didn't do it to run payroll. I didn't do it to know what was coming in or what was going out. And people just, you know, get really narrowly focused and forget that, like, this is not a hobby. Like, you were doing this for money for real.
And that's key. The word hobby that you just said, that is such, you know, is this something that, I enjoy doing? I'm not really, is there a profit motive? And I think that if there's a profit motive, there's certain things that you have to do in order to make sure that you want this business to be successful.
Right. Because it's not optional.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Brandi. Do you have to be good at math to know how your business is doing from a financial perspective?
Absolutely not. I mean, the basic accounting formula is assets equal liabilities plus equity.
Right. So we're talking about addition.
Yeah. Right. Do you know how to add?
Right.
You know, and your P&L we'll probably talk about later is literally income minus expenses. Right. So if you know how to add and subtract, I mean, that's the basic math knowledge that you'll need. You don't have to be a math expert to be able to have a profitable business.
Right. And that's one thing that I've noticed as a CPA and accountant. People always assume I'm good at math. I'm like, not at all.
We all pull our calculator out.
Like, okay. But I think people don't understand accounting really is about rules.
Yes.
It's just about rules. Like, you can do this, you can't do that, add this, subtract that. So you do not have to be a mathematician.
Yeah.
And so let's kind of level set, because I want people to understand what you really have to bring to the table so we can remove that barrier, because it's not true. It just simply isn't true.
Yeah, I would definitely say that organization is that main, skill set that you want to have, because it's, knowing your deadlines, meeting your deadlines, having the information readily available to you so that you can, meet those most deadlines. So it's really organization that matters.
Yeah, and then to add to that, Tomika, organization. So you mentioned organization, having things in place. If you don't know how to handle those things, put people in place to handle them for you.
Right.
So it's, being organized on all fronts is very key having a successful business.
Right. And one thing that I can say as an entrepreneur and also as a CPA is just like you spend time on marketing your business, if you spend time on ordering supplies or whatever you're doing, like you have to spend time, intentional time on the money part.
Most definitely.
And so I think that's where I see a lot of people go wrong. It's like, when do you do it? You can't squeeze it around all the other activities. Is it like on Mondays? Is it every other Thursday?
Right.
Like, what is that intentional time, just like for everything else?
Yeah.
So, okay.
You got to make time to look at those bank statements. You know, whether they're coming in electronically, of course, nobody's getting anything in the mail. But that email that's saying, hey, your bank statement for the month of February, it's ready. What are you doing with that email? Right. Are you taking the time to say, okay, what came in this month? What's going out this month? Right. So it's looking at the numbers.
Right. Hobby or business. Right. What y'all doing?
Right. Right. But even in addition to that, your marketing plan should absolutely be connected to your financial plan. Because if you're marketing if you're marketing to bring revenue in, right, what are you now doing with that revenue? Suppose you're a person that sell product and you did this wonderful marketing plan and you don't even have the supplies to be able, because you forgot to plan to spend the money to bring those supplies in, or you forgot to plan on how you're going to ship those products out, or you forgot to plan on paying your sales tax. Like, your marketing plan should be tied to your financial plan. Right. All roads lead back to the money. Right. All roads lead back. So true. All right. So now I just kind of want to chronicle a struggle life entrepreneurial story. So I know y'all love Tiana, who's part of our team. Come on over here, Tiana. Have a seat. I know. Come to the hot seat. I know. I don't know why she's looking all sad. No, that's one thing. So for those of you in the Thank Me Later community, y'all have seen Tiana before. All the amazing content that we create, all the amazing emails that y'all get, that's all coming from her. Hey, y'all. But with now, as thorough as Tiana is, y'all know, because y'all were complimenting her earlier, right? Yes. Intimidated by this. Like, anything bookkeeping, you say the word accounting, like she just kind of wants to like just shuts down. I know. She shuts down. Too much. So tell us about your business and some of the challenges you've had in the context of, call it bookkeeping, call it accounting, whatever word you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, so I think that one of my biggest challenges has been just accepting. I didn't intend to like start a business. It just kind of happened. So I didn't really, I created an LLC because I had a side hustle. Like, that's just what I thought you were supposed to do. But it wasn't me intentionally saying I'm setting out to make this a thing. So I think I kind of started off on a foot that was like, are you really trying to do this?
So you had a sophisticated hobby, it sounds
I was just about to say that. She had a hobby, didn't she?
I like that.
You
sophisticated.
formalized it.
Right.
But it was
a formalized hobby.
Yeah. People said that I needed to have an LLC. So I was like, okay. So that was a challenge. And then I think that, especially through working with you, Janai, like, I know what to do. I know I need the software. I know I need the money meetings. And I've been paying for Quickbooks for years. And I have it blocked on my calendar to have my money meetings. Now, when 4 o'clock on Monday rolls around, I got other things to do.
But why do you think you don't make the time to do it?
I think that I have felt overwhelmed being a business owner. It's just like, again, me not intentionally setting out to be an entrepreneur. Like, it was just kind of like, okay, I thought I create a product or have a service. That's my business. The focus on that. But like all the other stuff, I didn't know how to do all this.
Like, what things? Like, so what's your service?
So I'm pivoting. So that's another thing of like, what I've learned a lot in the last 2 years. And I'm like, let's take a step back. We don't need to have a business that's making money right now. Like, what is the foundation? So previously I had a marketing business, managing social media accounts. And I've just entered a space where that's not even what I want to do anymore. So having to be okay with like, we're going to switch it up. And then also I sold affirmation cards, and through a different business, it just never got that incorporated. So I was also running all these businesses through my LLC, just being like, I got an LLC, I got a QuickBooks. So
at the time when you were doing your affirmation cards, what was overwhelming about the accounting side of it?
It just the act of doing it.
Okay.
Like, really,
literally doing it.
Some people don't know what they don't know.
Okay.
I knew better, but I was just like, I have other things to do. And I think I also didn't recognize how important that was. Like, it was like, I should have it, but how important is it to really focus on it and treat it as a priority?
Yeah.
But just what I hear you saying is people aren't connecting the act of stopping getting it done to success in their business.
Right.
I didn't see that as a correlation.
Yeah, and I'm just like, because it's just like, oh, it's just kind of like busy work.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe I kind of might get to it versus saying, if I don't do this, like, I'm going to be in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would only know I was in trouble around tax season. I was like, I came to Janai last year. I was like, ooh,
Right.
I'm struggling. And we had an intervention, and now I'm doing better. But it took all this cleanup to do instead of doing it ongoing
Throughout the year.
Yeah.
throughout the year.
And I think people just don't see it as a priority. It's not fun. It's not sexy.
It's not why you started your business.
Right. It's not getting these orders out to my customer. That's just that thing over there, that busy work, that paperwork. But it's like, but if I don't get my order out, and you're missing the point.
It seems like a priority, but it's not as top of priority as your bookkeeping should be. But I didn't really know that.
I think another thing, sometimes people assume that they only need to get their books done during tax season. So for them, they sometimes put it off because they think that's the only time I need it.
Right.
But if you have, a vision for how you want your business to grow, you'll recognize that you need to understand those things throughout the year.
All year long.
Not just literally, I'll only focus on it in April.
Right.
After the tax year's after the year's done.
But Brandi, to your point, I don't know if people have been taught that, but that information has been passed on. So if I'm asking an entrepreneur, so tell me about what happened, last month. How well did your business do? Like, it's crickets.
They can't even tell you.
They can't tell you that.
They can't tell you.
But I'm like, this is why you need to know that. You need to know exactly what came in month to month to month, because it's telling you what your business doing. And now you can make changes like this. Because if you wait till tax season, what can you change?
Yeah.
It's all too late now.
Right.
You have to know that information in real time. And that's if your business makes $200,000 a year, or if you're making $20,000 a year. You have to know what's happening, because now you can make adjustments. Because to me, accounting is information.
It's definitely,
That's what it means to me. Like,
produces
okay, I'm
information.
doing good.
Right.
I need to make some changes.
Right.
Oh, I'm in trouble. Like, whatever you are on that spectrum, that's what your accounting records, that information, that's what it's supposed to provide for you.
And if you're looking at it, month to month, and that's at a bare minimum, you can say, oh, wow, January was a great month for me. And then when February comes, it's like, well, wait a minute, my numbers don't look as good as they did in January. Why is that?
Why?
What did I do?
Right.
Did I go really hard after Christmas with my marketing?
Right.
What was going on in January? What worked for me in January that produced these numbers versus now I sit here in February and it's like, oh, I didn't have, so it's the why and how you need to pivot and change and things like that.
And it could also affect your marketing plan. What you just said, if you're thinking about what did I do differently in January because people always, they focus so much on the social media marketing.
That was me.
Yeah.
Me working in social media, I'm like, I got a product. Let me
Turn
talk
up,
about it.
push it. Right.
So did that increase your sales when you did it?
Definitely. I think there was a correlation, especially with the affirmation cards. When I would post, I would see, more sales. And again, I'm focused on, okay, people are buying my product. Let me get it out.
Let me get it
and
out.
I was doing it all from home. So the back end business, I'm like, I'll get to it.
Yeah.
But Brandi, when I heard you say that, what I thought immediately is you have money coming in, but are you profitable?
Right.
Because people don't understand that. You're running your business based on what's on your bank account. It doesn't mean that you're actually making money.
Right.
And those are two different things.
Different things.
But people don't understand that sales is not an indication of if you're actually making money.
Correct.
And so, but that's what the accounting is. So everybody who's like stressed right now, just kind of take a minute.
Y'all like me. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to get y'all right.
We're going to get you right. But, and for those of you who have struggled, who this is hard for you, or maybe you haven't done this in years, like, you can dig out. But we just want you to know how important this is. This is like step one conversation. So this is just to kind of get you motivated and on track. And we're going to have some tools and tips for you to get on track and get moving. Anything else you think you need to share with everybody out there?
Say, though I am a work in progress, y'all, some of the things that I have been doing to get in the right space is I have like a working session. So my money meetings on Mondays at 4:00, I haven't been committing to it. So I'm like, let me give up my Saturday and make this a day thing and make it a vibe. Let me have my playlist and my candles
Make
and
it sexy.
order
Make it
lunch.
sexy.
Right. It's like, it got to be cute for me to want to do it.
Right.
Could you maybe spread it out instead of having it every week? Maybe commit to once a month to get you prepared for that meeting?
That's what I'm trying to do, where I'm like, let me take this as a big working session, and then I do need to do this on an ongoing basis. So I've been doing that, and then I've just been being a student, like not putting so much pressure into like, I got to make money. Because like 3 months ago, I'm like, I got to have a product. And now I'm like, you know what? Let me learn, because there's a lot that I don't know. And so just being okay with that has been really helpful. And then surrounding myself, like, it's just like working with Thank Me Later. You're going to have to get your money together.
Being a sponge, so you're taking it all
Exactly.
in.
So consuming the content and not just like marketing it, but like let me take it to heart. Those are some things that have been really helpful for me. So encourage y'all to do the same. We don't got to struggle no more, y'all.
Right. But one thing that I think you talked about, which is critical, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, you have to have committed time.
Yes.
When you focus on your finances. And I, as an entrepreneur, I think you have to do it at least twice a month, because otherwise it gets away from you.
Right.
And to me, it's about building the habit, and pick a day that you're going to do it for real.
Right.
So you're not like, oh, don't worry about that.
Competing with other
I like
things.
Sundays.
Whatever day works for you. Monday, it's for me. It's first thing Monday morning for me. If I wait for the afternoon, I'm going to be in trouble. My husband and I used to do Sunday. He likes Sunday. I don't like Sunday. So you have to do what you're actually going to do, and then you have to commit to that time.
Block it on your calendar.
Block it. Literally. It should be an appointment. It's non-negotiable. Pay your bills. Check your balances. All that stuff that you need to do. Get that stuff done during that time. And I promise you, it will significantly impact your finances and your business
Most
too.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think organization is the key in all of this. It's getting organized, but getting organized with your money.
Right.
You get organized with your business. I was talking to Brandi earlier, and the perfect example to me is if you think of like a hairstylist or something, and she is awesome at her press out. I mean, her press out is good.
Okay.
But I can make an appointment and I'll show up and she's like, oh, did you have an appointment today? It's like there's no organization. Something is missing on the side. And so yes, her press out can be amazing, but how long will she be able to sustain that business if she's constantly dropping the ball, not organized on when she's making appointments? Oh, I came in to get my color done. She didn't order the right color for me. So it's all about planning. It's about organizing, and you have to have that same mindset with your finances.
Yeah, there's no way around it.
Yeah.
Thank you,
getting it together. Thank you, ladies.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you're a student, though.
Yes, I'm trying to be. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you,
guys.
Tiana.
Thank you for sharing.
All right. So let's talk about finessing. Brandi said, And so that can mean different things to different people. So when I say entrepreneurs are finessing, Tomika, what does that mean to you? So that means, how are they showing up? What are a couple of the characteristics?
They're definitely faking it throughout the year and not really making it. And so when tax time comes, it shows because they have no clue where to start.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have no idea, where is my information? What have I done for the year? What statements do I need? And so you're not prepared for that final thing because you didn't take the steps during the year to really run it like a business and not like a hobby. And it shows when tax time comes.
What do you think is another characteristic of an entrepreneur finessing financially? What does that mean to you?
Definitely spending money they don't have.
Right. Because they don't know.
They don't even know that they don't have it.
You don't even know because you're not sure where your finances are. So we're going to share with you all within the community too some of the main signs that we consider finessing. I posted this on social media today, but everything from not being ready for tax season. You can't easily pull your numbers. Like if someone says, give me a P&L, You know,
A what?
a what? Like, where is
I had these bank statements for you.
But just to digress for a second, you know, when they talked about all this PPP money, the number one reason why Black businesses weren't able to qualify because we weren't organized enough to get it. We couldn't pull a profit and loss statement or an income statement. We didn't have our bank statements because, you know, you had to move and you had to be organized to get that money.
Right.
So, you think this is not why you started your business?
Yeah.
You know, it's not, you want to do hair.
My press out is the bomb. That's all I know. That's all I know.
Your bank balance determines how well you're doing. So here are just some symptoms or some signs for you all. You know, you say you're too busy. That's one that I hear a lot. People just think they don't have time
I just don't have time to run the numbers. I'm too busy getting orders out. I'm too busy taking appointments, and I just don't have the time to sit down and worry about the books.
Right.
I also think an area of finesse is not having a real vision for your business. Like, are you planning on expanding and growing? Because if you are, you need to have your finances in order. Because maybe somebody wants to come and invest in you. You don't, you know, or you might want to get a loan from the bank.
Right. Because having your books together, that builds confidence.
Yes,
you know, you want investors, you want to borrow money to start your business or expand your business, to be able to walk in a bank and it's like here. That says so much about you. So that is huge. So anybody who's out there who thinks they're finessing, I'd love for you to drop in the chat what finessing looks like for you. And, you know, how that's shown up for you in your business or even in your personal finances too. But I think most of us know when we're doing it. You know what I mean? When you're kind of like busting the move, you know, not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Is it paying you like a hobby or is it paying you like a business?
Right.
And that's
sometimes they may not even realize it. They may not realize that they're being paid like a hobby because they don't even know and understand their finances, you know?
So y'all continue to drop your questions in the chat because we want to make sure that we cover everything. So before we go to Q&A, I have a whole bunch of questions for y'all myself. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to take advantage of these CPAs. That's really important. Like y'all who are tuned in this evening, please take advantage of having access to subject matter experts like Tomika and Brandi. Like, you have no idea how difficult it is to be able to have access to talent at this level, because people don't understand what director, principal, like y'all are at the highest level when it comes to taxes, when it comes to accounting. So you want to lean in here. That's the purpose of Thank Me Later. We want to make sure that y'all have access to the best of the best. I know, Tomika, you were talking about when your cousins called you, asking you questions. I know you get questions all the time too, but I do too. But everyone doesn't have access to us personally. So lean in and make sure you ask your questions. All right. I want to talk about the formula for success as a business. And again, I want y'all to post your questions because I want to make sure again that y'all get everything you need. So, and then, then we're going to talk about resources too. So here's a formula for business owners that we want y'all to think about. So number one is having that money mindset. You know, having the business that solves a problem, provides a service or a product that people need, right? So clearly you got to land on that first.
Right.
You know, so that got to do that. Then you're going to need some sort of accounting software. Because don't y'all agree? Don't you have to have an accounting software to win from an accounting bookkeeping perspective? Don't you think it's necessary?
I think it's necessary. People can, you know, if you call yourself an Excel wizard, but you be spending a lot more time doing that unless you get into accounting software. That's going to save you tons and tons.
That sounds like a sophisticated hobby.
But it'll save you tons and tons of time getting that accounting software.
Yeah. I think you have to have it.
Yes.
In 2022, I don't think there's a way around it.
Agreed.
So I think you need to go head on and accept the facts. So you need the great business idea. You have to commit to an accounting software.
That's the finesse, doing your business in Excel.
Right. Please stay away from Excel, people. Doesn't that sound painful just saying that? Like, please don't be in Excel trying to get your books together. Then the next thing is you do need to have some sort of basic understanding, whether it's bookkeeping, accounting. We called it a basic understanding of that profit and loss statement.
Right.
What's coming in, what's going out.
Right.
And I know y'all know what that means. So that's the income coming in, and then the expenses
This is going out.
Like what y'all spending money on.
Right.
Like you have to know what that is.
Right.
But don't y'all think they got to know that in real time? Though?
Yes.
You do.
Yeah. So please make sure you know that. And then plus people need to have that money team. So I consider y'all part of a money team, you know. So I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an accountant, but because I want to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, I have an accountant.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you put the right accountant on the team. So y'all think that's necessary too, or you think people, like, how do people know if they are at the level that they need to be working with somebody?
So I guess it really depends on what you can afford at the time.
Okay.
Right. But beyond that, you know, we talked, I think, before about your money team could be right now the QuickBooks. Right. It could be that's your money team.
Team member. Yeah, that's true.
Right now, it's your team member until you grow your business to a point where you need someone else to look after that. Then you can bring on your accountant.
Right. So you start with the accounting software, but then be building and working towards having somebody who can support you.
Right. Who is actually living and breathing that every day. While you live and breathe and do what you know how to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's important. Then you want to multiply that by your weekly money meetings. Yep. Y'all got to do that. Again, if it's not going to be weekly, at least bi-monthly strongly. And then we're going to have to subtract the excuses and the procrastination. Jesus.
Right. I know. Refill that with reasons and reschedules is what I say.
Right.
If you don't have an excuse, give a proper reason for it. And if you're going to procrastinate, you need to actually reschedule time to take care of your work.
I never heard that. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Reasons and reschedule.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that reschedule is key because even if you said, like, everyone uses their phone now to help them. If you have it on the calendar, if you didn't make it that Monday, all right, make sure you're rescheduling for another day.
Agreed. Yeah.
So let's talk about tools. So for people out here, like, okay, what y'all saying is good.
Yeah.
But what tools do y'all recommend from what you all see entrepreneurs using? Like, what's some good software recommendations?
Well, as far as an accounting software, I think the top 5, we looked up earlier, the top 5 accounting software. I mean, QuickBooks was kind of the number one that everybody can easily use and everybody knows them and they're everywhere, right? Another software is Xero, and that's Xero. Another software is FreshBooks. People can use that to at least do invoicing. So you're at least keeping track of the monies coming in.
Right.
And then some banks sometimes have some sort of way to track
That's
things.
true.
Right.
But the main accounting, I mean, probably the easiest ones, and we're not like promoting these companies or not, but QuickBooks will probably be the number one accounting software.
Yeah, and even more basic, Quicken is kind of a sister program to QuickBooks, and it's very user friendly. It doesn't require all of this vast, accounting knowledge, and it's not intimidating. It's very simple, where it says the date, the amount, the category, who it's from, and a slight, a simple description. So just start very basic. But what that allows you to do is at the end of the month, you can go in and click run a report and say, hey, what was my income? What were my expenses? And it's there in a snapshot.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, people may also think QuickBooks is really daunting. I mean, I'll tell a quick story. My husband and I started a small business last year. Because I am I help run the QuickBooks, obviously, because I'm the money person in the household.
Right.
But I taught him how to send invoices, how to check his income expenses, and he knows how to do that.
Right.
Like on his own. I was like, I'm gonna have to take the wheels off. I mean, like the training wheels off. You're gonna have to figure this out because I got tax season going on right now, and he does it. Like every now and then he'll come to me and say, hey, can you check this on the QuickBooks or whatever? But he knows how to do it, and he's a science person.
Right.
Afraid of the money meetings, but he was able to use it and use it effectively. So I thought, it's really easy to use.
Right. And so one thing that I think people should consider doing is please use YouTube, because all of these companies have great videos, tutorials. I am personally a fan of QuickBooks. That's what I personally use. I think it's the easiest one to use, but I also like their education. So I think they do a good job of supporting people, but check them out. FreshBooks, Xero, Quicken, but you have to pick a tool.
Right.
Yeah, please pick a tool.
Pick something.
Yes.
And a lot of these, when we talk about the bank statements, the reason why we're suggesting these accounting softwares is because they connect to your bank.
Right.
And they will pull in your income and expenses for you and download it. It's just easier to use versus you having to pull up a bunch of receipts. And you can even upload your receipts now. QuickBooks has an app that if you're a person that does a lot of traveling, it lets you keep your mileage. You can attach it. And so it's very, it's very useful.
And it will memorize too.
Yes.
So if you're paying T-Mobile every month, you go ahead and code that as cell phone expense. Then it knows it next time, and it will do it for you. So I don't want people to think like, oh my God, now I got to spend 3 days a month doing this. It will do so much of the work for you. The technology is crazy now.
It is.
You can connect your credit cards, your bank accounts, like all of this. So again, I think they've done a good job of removing the barriers. Tiana, we got questions out there for us? Have people been starting to load up? So listen, y'all better take advantage of Brandi and Tomika.
We have questions, ladies. All right. So I'm actually going to start with a question that we got in the community a couple days ago.
Okay.
Hold on one second. Testing. Hey, everybody.
Gotcha.
All right. So I'm going to start with a question that we got in the community a couple days ago. Tania Butts asks, do you have any tips on structuring multiple businesses, i.e. one umbrella LLC versus multiples? Also, should you subsequently have multiple accounts and credit cards?
So to answer the first question, I guess I'll take that one, right? Structuring your business. It really depends, right? So if you have a business where you are looking to bring on other people and that business has specific purpose, you probably definitely want to structure that in a separate LLC to give room for investors to come in. And however, if you have a business that has several different types of products and different purpose, like a different purpose for each business, I definitely suggest setting up a different LLC. There's exit. I'm thinking, I know you're probably going to say, bring it down, Brandi. Bring it down.
Come on back, Brandi.
But easy way. I mean, people could, if you have different types of products that you're selling, and it's truly different types of services.
Right.
You probably do want to separate those things.
If you have a bakery, you're selling, a product, a food product, but then also you have a hair care line.
Those should be two separate businesses.
Definitely. Because they're just not connected at all. So I would do that. Yes. And wouldn't you suggest too, if they're completely separate, don't you think that separate bank accounts?
Oh, definitely. That's right.
Separate credit cards, like separate everything.
If you have a bank, you should have a bank account for each entity that you're running. So if you have two entities that serve two different purposes, they each should have their own bank account.
Right.
And their own QuickBooks software. Well, you have one software, but two separate accounts.
Separate files. Yes. I hope that answers her question.
I think so.
Okay, good.
She also asked tips on correctly structuring partnerships and investing in businesses that you don't own.
Is that a legal question or is that an accounting question?
Well, if you invest in it, you would own some of it, unless you just given it.
Like a loan, maybe? Like
a loan, yeah.
Yeah, because when you say partnership, you by default are an owner. You are a partner within that business.
Correct.
So it's hard to have a partnership that you don't necessarily own.
Right.
Don't own. Right.
You most likely, I guess if it's a joint venture, you won't necessarily own the entity. But I think what they're asking is, if you're an investor in a company, you most likely own the company, and you should be expecting
a part of a company,
or at least a portion of it. You may own a percentage of the company. You also want to make sure you're receiving, you want to know how that business is doing because you want a return on your investment.
How are they performing?
How are they performing?
What are their financials? We're talking about this income statement or this profit and loss statement. Like, you want to see that.
Yep.
You want to see the bank statements. Like, what's happening over there?
Yeah. And to that individual, since it sounds like they are familiar with partnerships, I'm going to use their lingo a little bit.
Right.
You know, you don't want to just wait till the end of the year for this Schedule K1 that you're going to get that says, oh, this is what ABC Partnership did throughout the year. Yeah, you want to check in throughout the year so that K1 is not a surprise to you at the end of the year.
I can tell you one thing. I'm not invested in a business that can't produce a financial statement or income statement that the ladies were talking about. If they can't do it like this, not giving them a dime.
The other thing I wanted to mention on her first question about having separate entities. So you talked about like the bakery and the hair salon.
Right.
If you have someone that, another good reason to have those in two separate entities, if you have someone, like say you're like, okay, I don't think I can run this bakery anymore, but it's a really good company, but you really want to focus on the hair salon, and somebody wants to come in and buy that company, or you want to sell it, having it in a separate LLC, a separate company, makes it much easier to sell that business versus it being commingled with a lot of other things.
Yeah. Even if you're not going to sell it, Brandi, what you just made me think about, maybe you have a partner in that other business. You definitely don't want all that together if they don't have anything to do with your other businesses.
Exactly.
You want to keep that separate. I hope that helps her.
I think so. And I see, Tania,
That's a really good question.
that you're here. So if there's anything else, you can drop it in the chat. All right. So go into the questions in the chat. So Yolanda asked, when taxes are done, do you have to do personal and business taxes together, or can they be separate?
It depends.
It
depends.
Yeah, it depends because there are several different types of business structure.
Right.
So depending on if you have a sole proprietorship that you're reporting on your Schedule C, then it is combined with your individual tax return. So it is a one deal, one package. However, if you have incorporated your business and you have a C corporation or an S corporation or even a partnership, you would complete that tax return separately. And then depending on which one of those entities it is, it would then flow through to your personal individual return.
Tell her to tell us what type of entity she has.
Yes, that'd be good.
Drop it in the chat. What type of entity do you have?
Especially if, a lot of people say LLCs, but they don't realize an LLC can literally take on any different forms.
Any of those.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm like, ooh.
Yolanda said she has a partnership.
Okay.
So that means she owns the entity with someone else.
Right.
So so that entity will be prepared. The form is called a 1065 partnership. Is it Tiana?
Yolanda.
Sorry, Yolanda. Yolanda, you would file a 1065 partnership on its own, and it would produce a K1. Think of the K1 like a 1099 for the business, I guess you could call it. But it would produce a K1, and if you own that partnership 50-50 with someone else, 50% of the income and expenses would go to you and 50% would go to the other person. And then you report that income on your personal return.
So 1065 first, 1040 second.
Yes.
Two separate returns.
Two separate returns.
Good question, Yolanda.
Great.
That was a real good question.
Thanks, ladies. Yolanda had a follow-up question.
Okay, Yolanda.
I think you guys kind of touched on QuickBooks, but just still want to ask her question. She said, I don't like spreadsheets like QuickBooks. Is the old-fashioned way of keeping up with paperwork outdated?
Oh. Yes. Why y'all hesitating? Come on. No diplomacy here.
As passionate as Janai was with that answer, I was just going to let her take that one. But to answer the question, yes.
But tell us why. Why is it a problem?
It does so much more for you than what a simple Excel file can do for you. I mean, you can produce so many different reports, monthly reports, comparisons, quarterly, year-to-year analysis. And it's just
at a click of a button.
At a click of a click.
Yeah. Yes.
Now your accountant will ask for the end result in Excel most likely, but we know how to. We're in that all day long, so it's a little different. But we would prefer that everything is being kept electronically first.
Right. The other thing too that I thought about, Tomika, was on your side on if you ever had any sort of IRS issue, like you want to be able to produce and pull that stuff instantly. Trying to comb through Excel spreadsheets or anything that you're maintaining by hand. Plus, it takes 10 times as long.
It takes long, and it relieves tons and tons of room for error.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's right. Yeah, accuracy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, ladies. All right. So the next two questions, two folks asked, and they're similar, so I'm going to combine them. So Yolanda and Melissa asked, Melissa said, I definitely need to commit to set a set time for reviewing finances, which should be a part of my monthly bookkeeping checklist to stay on top of my business finances outside of tax season. And Melissa, thank you. That gave me a content idea. We need that. But if you ladies could share what should be a part of a checklist to do outside of tax season. So you're not a hot mess.
Like every month.
Season.
So if you think in every month that she had to pull out a checklist, this is what I need to make sure is done every month. What would y'all say?
I definitely would say look at your bank statement, right? So if you're in QuickBooks, you want to make sure that it's capturing all of the things that happened, all the income that came in, all the expenses that went out. You need to definitely check that. Make sure those things are being categorized correctly.
But say what that means. So I have my bank statement.
Okay.
There are 50 transactions on there. You're saying categorize, like be literal. That means what?
So what's considered income, right? Or what type of expense? Is this a travel expense? Is this did you have to purchase a product? Is this inventory that you purchased? Is this meals and entertainment? Like you'll start to say, oh my gosh, how much did I eat out?
Yeah. So instead of it just being Amazon, or instead of it just being Chipotle, you're saying meals and entertainment is Chipotle.
Right.
Amazon, that was office supplies.
Yes.
So we're lumping the stuff together in these main categories.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you'll begin to see each month and begin to, start to take charge of the money that you're spending when you start to categorize all those different expenses. So I think one of the steps is definitely categorizing your income and expenses each month.
That's huge.
Yeah. And we had touched on this before in the other sessions, that when you look at your credit card statement and it just says Target, what does that mean for you? Was that when you just really bought all of your beauty products, or you went grocery shopping that day, or was that when you bought a new printer? So, just making sure that as you're looking through your bank statements, and touch on Brandi's point, that you are categorizing them based on the actual business expense. And you want to be looking, each month you want to say, what did I do this month, and how was that? Did it meet my goal? Did I have a target goal for this month? Right. Did I say, though, I wanted to bring in $5,000 in revenue? Did I actually meet that goal?
Right.
If I did, okay, how do I repeat that goal, for next year? So definitely looking from month to month, I think is a good.
To add to that, if you're having, so in your formula, you say have these weekly money meetings, right? So at your money meeting, if you are looking to see, do I have a goal of making $5,000 a month? We mentioned the hair salon, the hairstylist, right? So if you have a goal to make a certain amount of money that month, and you're having those weekly meetings, you're having a check of how much, are you reaching that goal? So suppose you're at week 3 and you have the next week, you might need to do a little bit more marketing to see, I got to bring those people. What do I need to do to bring customers in the door so that I can meet my goals for the end of the year, or meet my goals for that month?
Right.
So you're being able to, you're tracking against your goals. So I guess if we're creating a list, the first one is categorizing your expenses. The second one would be identifying your income goals for the week and for the month as well.
Right. Only other thing that I would like to add to the list is I would like to see people get comfortable looking at their profit and loss or income statement and balance sheet, just as practice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that income statement that telling you what money came in, what expenses went out, so people can kind of walk around that. Oh, the balance sheet. Oh, this is how much money I have.
Yep.
Oh, these are the assets that I have. So to me, that should be on the list too, just to kind of get that practice and familiarity.
What's interesting? There's so many entrepreneurs or small businesses. They'll have a profit and loss statement, but they won't have a balance sheet beyond knowing that they have cash.
Right.
And the other side is equity. You know what I mean?
Right. But let me tell you something. Even as a CPA, because I'm an entrepreneur, I always focus on the income statement, profit and loss. It took me a while to understand why to focus on the other one, on the balance sheet, because like a normal business owner, I'm like, what's coming in, what's going out, what's happening. But I think I'd like to see people get comfortable with both of those. And there aren't 10 that you got to get comfortable with, but if you could start getting comfortable with those 2, like you are winning to me.
And the other thing, I think the reason why people sometimes don't focus on it, like, the person who had the partnership, or even if you have an S corporation or a regular corporation, if you make under a certain amount and you meet certain categories, IRS doesn't even require you to report it on the tax return.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be keeping up with what your assets are and your balance sheet is on a month-to-month basis. So.
Right.
But categorizing your expenses, finding out what your income is can help build those profit and loss statements and your balance sheet.
Right.
Yep.
So I love that.
Thank you. Yolanda asks, do you need a CPA, or will a tax preparer without a CPA suffice if you have a new business?
Yeah. A person without a CPA license, but you still need to make sure that person understands and knows what they're doing.
So let's talk about that. So the 3 of us are CPAs. Like, when is our designation important?
At all times. It is.
But for the business owner, so if you're new, should they out the gate, should that be the goal that they're working with? But why working with a CPA, it means certified public accountant? Why is it a big deal? Why is that important?
Well, one, we're licensed, and we are part of a group with, we follow standards and follow rules. So that working with the CPA, we are demanded to follow certain rules and follow certain procedures as being members of the AICPA, which is the American Institute for Certified Public Accountants. And so that there's a certain level of
expertise within the business.
Exactly.
And continuing education. So a CPA, CPA is required to maintain their license. They are required to take a certain number of hours in accounting, in tax, in certain fields, whereas an accountant...
or just a tax preparer.
Yeah, or a tax preparer in general, they don't have to meet any updates or
thresholds.
Yes, yeah. And so as you grow, it also depends on what do you want? What is your vision for this business? And if this is something that you really want to take to the next level, you want to make sure that you start in the beginning. If you can, if your finances allow, to have a good CPA that can help you grow, and they'll grow with you, and know what you need, what the business needs.
And then as you begin to grow, we talked about maybe you want to get a loan from a bank, right? Most banks will say your financials need to be done by a certified public accountant. They won't even.
That's standard, and so you find that where people are searching or scrambling. Oh, can you sign? You do these financial statements because they weren't working with the CPA and they don't have that resource available. So it is very important. Yep.
Awesome. Next question is from Desiree. She says, hi, my name is Desiree. Hey, Desiree.
Hey.
And I'm the owner of Bowaholic Boutique. I started as a hobby, and now I'm a business. How can I turn this around today? My books are non-existent.
Oh, Desiree.
Starting from the ground up.
Thank you for your
Thank
honesty.
you, Desiree. Yes, thanks for your honesty.
So when did you start?
I mean, at the beginning, tell her, go back and I'm just... No, the first thing I would say, do you even have an entity set up? Let's start there, right? Because you can't have a business bank account without an entity set up. So you need to have an entity set up. She needs to obviously get her EIN, get a bank account. It's an accounting software.
That's a tax ID number.
Have you filed your taxes, Desiree? I'm curious. When we talk about in prior years where you say I'm starting from the beginning, what does that really mean for you?
She followed up and said, yes, I have an LLC, EIN, and bank account.
Oh, good. Okay, so she's already...
I think she means with books,
so
with the QuickBooks.
Now she has no books, though.
All right, okay.
So what does she do? Does she have to go retroactively back? Does she start now in 2022? Let's just assume her business was going last year.
Right.
She has 0 books. What would you suggest that she do?
She needs to get some accounting software and find a CPA to start building those books to get it started, because then it'll roll forward correctly.
But do you think she needs to let's assume her business started last year in 2021. Does she need to go backwards and begin her books in 2021?
Did she file a tax return?
Okay.
And I would say the answer to that is yes. Assuming that you started last year.
Yes.
Grab your computer.
Yep.
Download some software.
Right.
Grab your glass of wine.
Right.
Print out those bank statements and start from the beginning. January 1, 2021.
Or whenever you started the business.
Yeah. And begin that toughened process of going back.
It's always tough at the beginning, but once it started, it gets easier.
It does.
Each time you roll it forward, because then you're dealing with fewer transactions each week or each month. But I would definitely suggest that she starts, from the beginning. I don't know did she say how long her business had been in existence?
But the good thing is, even about retroactively going back, you can do that, I know, in QuickBooks. If you're saying, hey, pull in my information from January of 2021, it will pull all of those transactions in, and then you can begin to categorize them.
It will.
Yeah,
So.
and even thinking from an IRS standpoint, Desiree, the IRS is always several years behind before they start auditing certain returns. So even if we're talking about 2021 tax year, it may not be until 2023 that the IRS says, hey, Desiree, how about that business? Let me see the return. And so you want to be prepared. You don't want to wait until they
contact you,
and say, oh my gosh, I didn't do anything for 2021. I just wanted to go ahead and start fresh in 2022. No, go back. Take the time, and whether you are able to hire a CPA or an accountant, or whether you're doing this yourself, take that time, make that commitment to do it, and I promise you, it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, but please get the software, because you want the software, the license to be yours and not your accountant's. If you're going to use an accountant, that file needs to belong to you.
Correct.
Yeah, I've seen people have problems with that.
Like, I can't get my books.
Okay.
All right. So Melissa asks, when you're ready to start working with the CPA, what should you have in place for ease of transition?
So it sounds like they're going to engage a CPA. And now what makes a good client for you, Brandi? So you've got a new client.
Yes.
We are winning if what?
They definitely already have an accounting software in place where I can go in. I onboarded a new client today. I gave them a list of items I needed to get started, and they immediately was able to give me the link to the QuickBooks. I was able to download all the files, pull everything together. And so that was an easy transition. Now I can go in and see if it was all right or not.
Right.
But it was at least like, here you go. He was able to hand it right over to me immediately. So I think having your books in order when you get a CPA is extremely important. Even if you don't, though, that's okay. We'll just need to know where we need to start. We'll know where we need to start. So I would say come in with the right mindset that you're willing. Tiana mentioned earlier that she's a student. So if you have somebody, they know what they know how to do, but like, I don't understand this. Can you help me get started? So I think that would make a good client as well. Somebody that understands the purpose behind why they need a CPA. What do you think?
No, I think you're right. You kind of touched on it. Is having that the ease of access to that accounting software is key.
Yeah. Only other thing I wanted to add, CPAs hate when you piecemeal stuff. So please, if they give you the laundry list of what they need, please turn that over to them, and not like 2 documents now, 4 weeks later, it's 3 more documents. Turn it all over.
Well, nowadays, I know, especially at our firm, we have like you've seen
to the portal.
Yeah, we have a portal, so we don't have, but that's part of the reason why that portal is there.
And we upload,
so we won't get these little emails here and there. So you can upload as many things as you can to this portal. Some people, for whatever reason, like to use their own, and sometimes it's Dropbox. They want to use that themselves, and then they give us the link.
Access, right.
But having some sort of upload all at once, that's very helpful for us. I agree.
Yeah, love that. Who's next?
Right. Tina asks a question. It kind of feels like it's directed at you, Janai. Oh. I aspire to have a business management business. I have a degree, but I'm not a CPA. Do you advise I pursue becoming a CPA to better serve my customers?
The only reason why I don't think it's necessary is based on the work we do as a business management firm. So we exclusively work with people in the entertainment community. All of the actual tax work, we actually have a CPA firm that does that. So even though I am a CPA, we farm all of that work out. And I do that because I consider myself a dabbler. You know, I'm an accountant, but I don't do what y'all do every single day. So I'm like, I don't want to be guiding my clients the wrong way. Let me make sure I'm working with somebody who, like, this is what they do for real, for real. So I don't think it's necessary. Certainly helpful, though.
All right. Desiree asks, I paid my 15-year-old to help me under the table in my business. Should I have paid him via payroll?
No, I don't think that's necessary to pay him as an employee.
It depends, Desiree. What is
IRS right over here?
It depends, Desiree. So, to what Brandi mentioned, with a 1099, you know, you can still, it's your protection, really, because your 15-year-old, they're not required to file a tax return. I'm assuming based on what you paid them. Their income level is going to be below the requirement, so they don't have to file a tax return. However, if you yourself or your business is audited and the IRS again comes knocking and you've deducted, well, I paid my 15-year-old $10,000 during the year, the IRS is going to say, well, did you file the proper forms? Did you give him a Form 1099 miscellaneous as a contractor?
Or NEC now.
Right, or NEC. Or for, you know, if you were claiming him as a W-2 employee, then, you know, did you give him a W-2? So that is a protection for you as well, not just, you know, thinking ahead for your 15-year-old.
I want to make some tax planning around it.
I just want to make sure I understand what you just said, though. So she has the 15-year-old. She paid him cash, it sounds like.
Okay.
It's acceptable for her to issue him a 1099 versus him being like on actual payroll, like W-2 payroll. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on what he was doing. I mean, there's definitely some, you know, some guidelines as what defines a W-2 employee versus what's a contractor.
Right.
But yes, it is still important that I would still have issued him a 1099.
Issue him the 1099. And that also means, like you said, if he makes under, is it what, $12,400, then he does not have to file a tax return.
Right. But you are covered because then you can say, you know, hey, I issued this statement to him to prove that I made these payments.
And I'm not an individual tax expert, but I think there's some definitely planning around paying your child. Like now he's earned income. Right. That income can now, if you're in a place where you're saying he doesn't want to keep that income. Right. Now he could potentially like set up some sort of fund that he's earned income and put it away for retirement.
Ooh, don't go. I know. Don't be going over my head. Ooh, Jesus, don't take me there, Brandi. Level set one.
Start with the basics.
Right.
All right. Tomika asks, if you have an S-Corp, can you keep your same EIN to change it to an LLC?
So can you flip? So say you made the S election. So that's all that means. You filed the 2553. You made the S election. Can you flip that and go back to an LLC? Can you do that? Change an entity type or something?
You can. Now that is not level one. Okay. So it's not. No, I mean.
Can you do it?
So,
but why would you? Why would you flip from an S-Corp?
That's what I want to ask. That's where I want to ask. Okay. Like, why are they going? Why are they going back? And what was their original designation? Was it an LLC originally, and they made an election, or they set up as an Inc? Like, are they? Still there?
Tomika, if you're on, you can drop it in the chat.
That is a bit of a loaded question.
No, that's
the why. The why is very
would you want to? Yeah, instead of there just being a blanket answer.
She did have another question, so we can talk about that one.
Oh, but we can answer it.
Yeah, we can circle back to that if she shares more information. She asked, should I pay myself individually via payroll? What are the benefits or disadvantages?
If you have an S-Corp, you are expected to be. If you're the only owner of your S-Corp, and you're an employee of your S-Corp, you're expected to have what's called reasonable compensation paid to yourself.
So it is a requirement and not necessarily optional if you are drawing compensation from that S-Corp, because by default and definition, you as an owner, you are deemed an employee of that corporation.
So layman's terms.
Break it down.
So what they're saying is you have this S-Corp. Y'all are just pulling money out of your company. You're not on actual like W-2 payroll. You are taking a distribution. The IRS says that's against the law. You have to be on payroll for real. So I've heard CPAs say that, you know, once you're S-Corp has gotten to 100,000, 150,000, that's the point when you should be paying yourself compensation.
I've heard that as well, but there's no actual...
There's no dollar amount.
I don't think
That's
so.
why they call it reasonable compensation.
Right.
And so there's like ambiguity around like what's considered reasonable. It's flexible.
Right.
But a lot of times that's, you know, what they're saying.
And not to be technical with people, but people have to understand an S-Corp does not pay taxes. So the government is like, where's my money? Y'all up here taking money, but like, how am I going to make sure that I'm getting paid? They're looking to get that Social Security and that Medicare.
Right. And the income tax as well.
And the income tax. So at a certain point, you have to put yourself on payroll. Yeah.
And she did follow up to you ladies' questions of why. She said it was for tax purposes. And then based on her previous question, it sounded like she started with an S-Corp.
She started with the S. Now she wants to flip.
So this is the thing. If you are, and if she's flipping to an LLC, that entity then is a single member LLC, and it will be reported on her Schedule C.
Individual,
on her individual tax return.
Right.
This is the thing. You can't be an employee of a single member LLC, of your own single member LLC. Like you, the owner. So any income that you're taking out, like for yourself, is all self-employment tax. So I mean, it's all subject to self-employment tax.
Right.
Yeah.
So if she's gonna make that change, I want to just make sure I understand what you're saying. She was an S-Corp. Now she wants to be an LLC. She's the only owner. So now she's going to be filing her Schedule C on her personal tax return. And she's going to be subject to self-employment tax, which is what, 15.3%?
Well, you get the other half as a deduction.
Yeah.
But the thing is, so to answer her original question, you can
do it.
You can do it. It's a lot of technical terms that I know Janai will be upset if I start to go through them.
Please don't. Don't you dare.
I'm like, going to give you the rev rule.
I would recommend probably just filing a final S-Corp return and closing that one out and getting a new EIN.
And starting over.
For LLC. That I would, in order to keep it clean. Because here's what's going to happen. You don't want to confuse the IRS. The IRS, if it was done properly, you have told the IRS you are an S-Corp with said ABC EIN number. You cannot, and then when they pull up this number, this EIN number that you've assigned to the S-Corp, you can't just go and say, oh, now it's on my 1040 return. The IRS is going to say, where is my S-Corp return? Where is my S-Corp return?
There is an article on the IRS website, and we could probably drop the link later that gives you the different scenarios of when you need a new EIN. And then there's a section under the S-Corp.
I didn't even know that.
It's by entity. Well, because we do a lot of
change it. Okay.
Like M&A transactions, which is mergers and acquisitions transactions, where that happens.
Bottom line, if she wants to do it, there's some paperwork involved. You can't just start filing an S-Corp.
Correct.
Now you're going to
because you will trigger an IRS notice because they are going to say, where is my tax return? Because now it looks like you have not filed a return where you're saying, well, no, it's just over here buried in my 1040 return. Well, they don't know that. You got to keep them straight.
Yo, we're trying not to be technical. We're trying. Who else we got there, Tiana?
All right. Kia asks, can you only have one EIN per lifetime in the business world?
Per business, right?
You mean per entity, right?
Per company.
Yep.
She didn't say that, but I think that's what she implied.
Yeah. You can have, if you have 10 different businesses, all 10 of them can have a different EIN.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We good?
If you guys have any other questions, well, there is one, but I kind of feel like we got to do a little research.
Okay.
Yolanda asks, I'll just throw it out here. What is the ballpark fee for a CPA? No, that's a loaded question. So I said we could do some research and add it later.
I'm looking at y'all like, what's the answer?
It depends
on the size of the firm, area of specialty,
the amount of work that you're doing.
What you're getting done. Are they doing your tax return? Like, what are they doing for you?
Are they going to be on a fixed fee? Is it by the hourly rate?
Right.
So it really does depend what your specific business needs are. And you may be at a point if you're beginning that it's just, a fixed fee and you can kind of gauge that.
So, I hope this was helpful. And like I said, we were trying not to be technical. I know this is a difficult topic, but this is the basics where we begin, and this is, again, a key part to winning as an entrepreneur. Like, you've got to spend some time. You don't have to understand everything that we talked about, but there's some fundamentals that you're going to have to grasp and really make that commitment to getting your accounting, your books done, and staying on track for tax season. And Brandi and Tomika, if y'all want to learn more about them, please go to LinkedIn. So Brandi Samuel and Tomika Bullitt, and you can see how amazing they are and what they have going on. Anything else before we wrap up, ladies?
I do want to say one thing, because a few people on there mentioned S-Corps and partnerships and all that. Please be, I know most people think the tax deadline is April 15th only, but S-Corps and partnerships are actually due March 15th. You can extend if you're not ready. If you, sounds like a lot of people aren't organized yet.
Right.
But if you're not ready yet, extend, and you have 6 months to file that final return.
Right.
But they're due March 15th if you have an S-Corp or partnership, and then 1040s, which if your individual return is due April 15th.
Thank you for sharing that, because a lot of people don't know about that March 15th deadline. Did we forget anything, Tiana? Are we good?
We did have one last minute question.
Okay.
Last question. All right. Sharice asks, real quick, do you need a separate QuickBooks software for each business?
No, because QuickBooks will create you can have several files within QuickBooks. That's how yours is.
A separate file. So yes, you're going to have a separate file. You can have one license that you can have 3, 5, certain number of companies under. Correct. So don't mix all of them together in one file.
Good to know.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay. Are you?
Yeah, we got to talk.
Like, what?
She's like somebody
You told me to get QuickBooks, so I got QuickBooks.
You want to know, aka me. Yep, that's all. Thank you, ladies.
But thank you so much, Brandi and Tomika.
Problem.
Thank you for being generous with your time again. Busy season. We appreciate y'all. So thank y'all for engaging in the Thank Me Later community, and looking forward to helping y'all get organized in March. All right. Have a good evening. Thank y'all very much.